The investigation continues. There were other people involved in this horrific crime, and you will be brought to justice. I also want to make an appeal to the people who committed the crime, that we will be knocking on your door and we will make sure that you pay for this horrendous act.
We've just listened to Assistant Commissioner Mr. Toomey there, and again, as we have seen in previous videos with Superintendent Christopher Mangan, that the authorities on Garda Síochána were going to round up, contact and bring to justice all those involved in the murder and robbery at Lordship Credit Union. Not alone the 5 people, those involved in the gang, but those on the periphery, which I think we can all assume there may very well have been, and almost certainly was, other people on the periphery. So I think we can assume that those that knew about the immediate people who knew about the murder and robbery and the attempted robbery at Lordship Credit Union could be anywhere in the region of 7, 8 or 9 people. I don't think there's any doubt about that. So this is the basis for the next part of Aaron's campaign as we moved on. Previously, we scrutinised the storyboard that was created on Garda Síochána and the DPP. That storyboard was presented as evidence against Aaron during the course of his trial. And that was predominantly CCTV footage, times and movement of persons and vehicles. And I think we've shown conclusively that evidence, bottom line was, it was severely tampered with and manipulated and curated to create a story that simply did not exist. And I think we've shown over the past 18 to 20 months that Aaron Brady cannot be the man who shot and murdered Garda Adrian Donoghue. I don't think there's any doubt about that, and I think the general public and those following the campaign have accepted that. And now we move on, and we are going to show as clearly that Aaron Brady was not, could not have been one of those people in the car park at Lordship Credit Union. Aaron Brady had no association with anyone or any person that committed that heinous crime on the 25th of January 2013. And moving away from the storyboard that was created as evidence, although this part was somewhat in the storyboard, this area in relation to the gang is more of a theatre that was created by the prosecution and Mr. Stain, probably in conjunction, predominantly in conjunction with Mr. McGooey, who is an intelligent analyst, a layperson on Garda Síochána and Garda Kenna. And the portrayed scenario that Aaron had links with a gang. And as I've said before, and we'll go into more detail as we move along this aspect of the case, how names were bandied about and how that was done and how the theatre of the court was used to create a scenario that simply is false. When you look at the actual facts, when we look at the details now, we will see clearly that there is no gang linked to Aaron Brady. There are no 4 other people when we look at the makeup of the gang from the information, facts and details we know, and facts and details of phone traffic and phone contacts. So in fact, that's the first thing we're going to have a brief look at now this evening. So what I'm going to show you here is the front page of the Sunday World. Obviously you can see the 4 pixelated pictures, and indeed this gives us a clue here that even at this early stage they didn't have a gang. We see the picture on the right there is just a silhouette, and it gives us some indication as to, even at the early stage, there was holes and turmoil in the investigation, in the rabbit hole that Senior Investigating Officer Mr. Pat Marry and indeed Sergeant John Maroney, the rabbit hole that went down at the early stage. We're 100% certain there's 5 people in the car park. And what we're going to look at, the first little part of what we're going to look at, is this mobile phone activity and the silence. Indeed, there was a great furore and a lot of emphasis put on the theatre with Mr. McGooey and Mr. Stain and Garda Kenna, a lot of emphasis put on this phone silence. So what we're looking at here is the activity at a couple of hours, an hour before and an hour after there was silence. And the chart you're looking at there on your screen is the combined activity. Now they're two phones of Aaron X and Braid's two. They're two of Aaron's phones. One was an old phone that was discarded before Christmas, and Aaron X is his new phone. So what we're looking at here is, the big number here is 3. 3 is the big number here, and yet we're fully aware that there are 5 members of the gang. So initially, and we look at from the very start, and what they're presenting in court is a complete farce, because everyone knows, a child of 3 years of age knows the difference between 5 and 3. They don't match. No matter what you do with it, they simply do not. And then we need to have a look at the mainstream media and their involvement and their willingness to portray and peddle this theatre, as I have explained to you, and look at how professional investigative journalists never questioned the giant anomalies in relation to fact and relation to what was presented in court. And the first statement I'm going to bring up, it's from Loch and Stain Senior Counsel, described this as an extraordinary, unusual and unlucky coincidence. And again, the journalists who were in the court during the time of the trial are fully aware that it's not an unusual or very extraordinary situation that these phones were silent. It actually happened 12 other times prior to between the 1st of January and the 23rd of January. And Mr. Stain and Senior Counsel Mr. Brendan Graham would have been fully aware of that at the time they were presenting the theatre in court. And indeed, Mr. McGooey, the intelligence analyst, didn't tell the court either that the phones were silent at other times. So we'll go into more detail on that as we move forward. Again, just showing you a couple more extracts from newspapers, how inactive phones, unusual, more the trial told. Again, we see here a friend, Mr. Robin Schiller, an investigative journalist who was present for a great deal of Aaron's trial, and we've had no headlines. There's another headline from Mr. Schiller here: mobile phone silence an hour before and an hour after fatal shooting, court hears. And again, there was no headlines that said silence happened 12 other times in the 3 weeks prior to the Modern robbery. No headlines from Mr. Schiller in relation to that fact, and that is a fact. And I'm going to bring up Mr. Schiller's article again. Just 2 things I want to finish on for this evening's video. Murder accused and 2 other suspects. And again, I go back to the same base for our argument here. 3 mobile phones, 5 suspects. They don't fit. There's no match. There's no coherence between the 2 figures. It's a serious shortfall on behalf of the prosecution. And there's just one other line there. You can see, in the hour before or after the fatal shooting, a court heard. Again, this is only a human aspect. It's only a perspective we're looking at. How would the phones have been silent for an hour after the event? I think it might be slightly over an hour after the event. We have to imagine a situation: the vehicle is taken off at high speed, and unless the prosecution is trying to make us believe that the 5 raiders drove all the way down into Newtown Hamilton to burn out the vehicle that was supposedly used in the Modern robbery, with the shotgun and the handgun with them. That didn't happen. We know that didn't happen. We know that's a complete fallacy, a complete nonsense. But the hour, we are saying, is too long afterwards. There would have been phone activity as the gang dispersed, And if it was anything to do with Aaron Brady, that hour is too long. It simply makes no sense. It simply doesn't work. And the same reason we go back again, 3 phones, 5 raiders, plus the alleged those that are on the periphery who are helping. So I know it's a lot of information. We're going to break it down a little bit at a time, But the big numbers here for this evening's video, 3 phones, 5 raiders. Doesn't fit, and it was portrayed in a theatre. I'll say it once again, by Mr. Stain, by Garda Kenna, and by intelligent analyst Mr. Magooey. And we'll have more information on some of the evidence Mr. Magooey portrayed during the course of the phone activity, which shows clearly that Aaron was in contact with people who were involved in diesel laundering. Nothing whatsoever got to do with the Modern Robbery at Lordship Credit Union. So we'll analyse all that, we'll break it down a little bit at a time, and we'll bring it to you, the Irish public. And again, please contact those in authority that you have serious concerns about Aaron Brady's conviction. We have shown you previously, Aaron Brady cannot be the man who shot and murdered Adrian Donoghue. And we will show you clearly, as clear, Aaron Brady was not in the car park at the moment that Detective Garda Adrian Donoghue lost his life. Once again, thank you for watching. Please continue to like, comment and share, and we'll see you again, and we'll give you more information at our next video. Thank you.